when you're going through hard times and God seems distant and unreal, then being familiar with the arguments and the evidence for Christianity's truth can help you to remember that our faith is not based on emotions, but on the truth, and therefore you must hold on to it. Thirdly, being intellectually engaged as a Christian is going to make you a deeper and more interesting person. American culture is so appallingly superficial, focused on celebrities, entertainment, sports, and self-indulgence. Becoming intellectually engaged with your faith as a Christian is going to take you beyond all of that to life's deepest questions. Questions about the meaning of life, about the nature and existence of God, about the origin of the universe, about the nature of man and the soul, about the foundation of moral values, about the problem of suffering and evil in the world. As you wrestle with these deep questions, you yourself will be changed. You'll become more thoughtful and well-rounded. You'll learn how to think logically and how to analyze what other people are saying. Instead of just saying, well, this is how I feel about it. It's just my opinion, that's all. You'll be able to say, this is what I think about it, and here are my reasons. As a Christian, you'll begin to have a deeper appreciation of truths about God and the world, and see how they all fit together to make up a Christian worldview. So the personal benefits of being intellectually engaged with your faith are just enormous. You'll become a bolder and more confident witness for Jesus Christ. You and your children will be better able to persevere in times of doubt and struggle, and you'll become a deeper and more interesting person. Finally, number 3, winning unbelievers. Winning unbelievers. Many people will agree with what I've said about the value of being intellectually engaged for believers, but they'll deny that it's of any use in winning unbelievers to Christ. Nobody comes to Christ through arguments, they'll tell you. Now, I think that such folks are to a certain extent just victims of false expectations. When you reflect on the fact that most people who hear the gospel don't respond to it and accept Christ, we shouldn't really be surprised that most people will not be persuaded by our arguments and evidence. But then you might say, why bother with that minority of a minority with whom arguments and evidence are effective? Well, 2 reasons. First, because every human being is precious to God, a person for whom Christ died. But secondly, this minority, though relatively small in numbers, is huge in influence. One of those persons, for example, was C.S. Lewis. And just think of the continuing impact that one man's conversion still continues to have. I find that most of the people who respond to the arguments and evidence I present tend to be people in engineering, medicine, or lawyers. And such people are among some of the most influential in shaping American society today. So if we can reach these people, it will in turn yield a great harvest for the kingdom of God. And in any case, the generalization that arguments and evidence are not effective in evangelism is just not true. Lee Strobel recently remarked to me that he has lost count of the number of people that have come to Christ through his books, The Case for Christ and The Case for Faith. And in our own ministry, we're continually thrilled to see people coming to Christ, making decisions for Christ, through hearing a gospel presentation coupled with an intellectual defense of the truth of the Christian worldview. So those who say that arguments and evidence are ineffective in winning unbelievers to Christ must be speaking out of their limited experience. When a gospel presentation is sensitively combined with a persuasive case for Christianity and your personal testimony, then the Spirit of God is pleased to use it to draw people to himself. So for all of these reasons then, I think that we need to realize that a vital part of Christian discipleship, a vital part of what it means to be a disciple of Jesus, is learning to love God with all our minds, just as Jesus commanded us to do. So, what practical steps can you take if you want to become intellectually engaged as a Christian? Well, let me briefly mention 3. First, you can begin to read good nonfiction Christian books. Let me just recommend a few titles to get you started. First, in terms of knowing what we as Christians believe, I'd recommend Paul Little's book, Know What You Believe, or Bruce Milne's book, Know the Truth. Both of these are excellent books that will introduce you to the Christian world view. In terms of knowing why we believe what we do, I'd recommend Paul Little's book, Know Why You Believe, and Lee Strobel's book, The Case for Christ. Both of these are nice entry-level books for beginners, but nevertheless provide very substantive arguments and evidence for the truth of the Christian worldview. So begin to read some of these books. Secondly, I'd encourage you to enroll in a good Sunday school class here at JFBC if you're not already so enrolled. In a class where you can receive solid instruction in Christian theology and how to defend it. Don't just come to the worship service on Sunday morning and then head for home. Rather, put yourself in the way of learning. Take advantage of the wonderful opportunities that are offered here for instruction every Sunday morning.